Alright, guys. Oh, I got a lot of explaining to do. First of all, thank you to Malax for the new sub.
Relax, D.
Yeah. This is the original best of 5 that we were doing in Recover Games, so I said to forget that we ever did this, and I guess I was wrong. Quickly, remember, this is what we first did, but Bly took a long time to... He took an entire best of 5, actually, to recover. Oh, maybe not.
Yeah, for those who don't know, like, seriously, Bly has hooked up, like, a car battery to his computer and to his modem to try to even play. So, let's see if that passion and dedication shines through. I know he's going to be stressed out about it. I didn't realize, though, because I know we were talking about a little bit ZvP, etc. before things blew up, but ShoWTimE went for a Void Ray? Which isn't really uncommon, funny enough. Like, you'll see this clear up Overlords all the time, but I feel like ShoWTimE specifically going for a Void Ray is a little bit uncommon.
Yeah, it doesn't really seem to be stylistic to get a Void Ray, but there are definitely reasons why you would get one even if it's outside of your usual style. And certainly if you expect the person to be aggressive, the Void Ray is that tool that just... Well, it shouldn't be attacked unless they knight us with a queen, and, you know, and that it's possible, it's unlikely. It can help against lings, it can help against roaches, more so, and it can take out overlords. So while it's a little bit more expensive than a Phoenix, it is a better all-around tool. But Bly isn't really playing aggressive, and that's, you know, not too surprising. Like, Bly doesn't necessarily play hyper-aggressive in the early stages of ZvP and ZvT. It's ZvZ where he obviously early pulls all the time, but he does play mid-game attacks, and that's what he's getting up to. So the faster 4th base isn't surprising. The melee, the Hydralisk Den, not surprising at all. I mean, he has like 40 lings now, and that maybe could have stopped this base. No, okay, not 40 lings. He has 30 lings. That maybe could have gotten us around in this base, but it has to deal with the Adepts first.
Oh, the Baneling's so close to connecting. It gets some decent hits, though, and honestly, the lings with that surround almost clean this up. But at the end of the day, there's nothing to stop the Void Ray, and that's going to definitely kill this hatchery.
You know, the queens could come over here, but, like, the creep is only just connecting, and there we go, 2 queens do come over. Luckily for Bly, Adepts don't kill bases that fast, so this hatchery might have taken some damage, but the Oracle dies, the Void Ray is going to go down if it's not careful.
I thought this was going to get the hatchery without contest, but I guess not.
Yeah, well, the fact that Bly had a second queen close by, and the creep spread had barely just attached, was like, yeah, there's definitely a different universe where those two things didn't happen and the hatchery goes down, so that's too surprising. But nice for Bly, doesn't have to wait for that, most importantly, as he hasn't quite used it yet, right? It's not like he just lost his only mining base, but you don't have to wait for it to come back up, and he is at 76 drones. Wow. I said that it's not surprising to see him play to the mid game, but that's probably the most drones I've seen Bly on in a while. I mean, if you're going to attack, I think, aggressively, then I would have said 65 drones, but 78 is really more like what I would expect from Snoot. And even another expansion, another tech path as well. Bly not playing that super heavy Roach Ravager style, obviously, but not playing a Hydra Bust either.
No, and I guess that kind of does bring us back to that earlier discussion of, like, what's the style going to look like, but... I like this harassment. It's getting a lot of probe kills, actually. Some at the 3rd base, too, so not all here on the natural.
Shit.
And
Yeah.
looks like a couple of good Baneling connections over there. Ends up being 24 dead probes. Bly now doubling the worker count.
How did the Banelings even get over there? Yeah, that's pretty damn good. It's really damn good, doubling the worker count. Jeez. I mean, Protoss is going to play the long, steady macro game anyways, so... You know, when you see the supplies just different, it's not always the end of the world. It's kind of ZvP, but it's about the future. Like, I think in 2 minutes here, Bly might just have a maxed out army against ShoWTimE's, what, like 130? Unless ShoWTimE can really do something to halt Bly's progress. And it looks like that's exactly what he's going to try and do. He's bringing the mothership. He doesn't have many force fields. He has 4 storms, but he also has nothing to really protect these High Templars. So if, like, God forbid Bly ever gets any type of surround here, that'd be bad news. And, you know, that recall wouldn't be able to save High Templars if the Banelings are already on them. So, I don't know. This is going to be... This is... Bly's already kind of ready. It's not the biggest army, but it's an army at all, and the instant recall
Forces a recall.
Down. Yeah,
I mean, forcing the recall is already good enough. That eats some of the energy in the mothership core. It completely depositions ShoWTimE. Now he's sitting at the top of the ramp. There's going to be force fields. Bly will not get up here very easily.
Yeah.
Nice blocks out of ShoWTimE.
the defensive position still does make the army look favorable for ShoWTimE. But the offensive one that he was going for, I was just like, I don't know. And he really doesn't have that many force fields, so he needs these chokes. But while he might be able to hold 3 bases for a while, it's, going to come into question about that 4th base. And when, can ShoWTimE ever get even close to maxed out? I mean, even 150 supply? That's still kind of up in the air. He's got to depend on storms constantly scaring this very, very vulnerable army. But Bly is getting more than just storms. He's getting mutas, which I don't know if ShoWTimE saw or not. He did. That's why he's making phoenixes. All right, but, he's got to control those phoenixes. He's got to be smart about it, and he's got to have his eyes everywhere at once, basically, because Bly's going to have a lot of attacks incoming. Oh, second Stargate even on the way. He's aware, I suppose, that there's a possibility there's more than just like the 10 mutas that you would sometimes see in ZvP. It is only, I think, like 10, 11. So 1 Stargate would probably be enough, but oh, no, never mind, there we go. 7 more. 7 more, and you're going to need more Phoenixes for that. Thing is, he really is going to have to split his control so well, so the more Phoenixes you have, the less likely a single misstep is going to kill you. Bly already into that main base. There's a cannon available. Phoenixes are here. 7 more mutas are coming, but not here right now. And they might want to stop and pick off this warp prism anyways. Probes are going down. Stalkers with the out blink. Emergency being warped in. Bly is entirely focusing on the mutas, so there's no other attack here, and his mutas are getting destroyed.
That's the problem, because there was a great opportunity to maybe even go to the 3rd or on the left side of the map. But as the mutas continue to distract on the right, I mean, they're not exactly being cleaned up just yet. In fact, Bly's actually going to fully pull back and go home.
Yeah, he saw the warp prism and his mutas were already across the map, so he had to pull... Well, I mean, not as all of his army, obviously, but he is microing every which way, so that is the easiest option. The muta's going to come back and help deal with the warp prism, like kind of like their usual main job. Well, maybe not. Fake! Psych! Gonna go back in. He still hasn't depowered the Stargates, so there's still a lot of Phoenixes, so hopefully none of these tech structures ever go down for ShoWTimE, as the Forge and High Temple Archives would be vulnerable otherwise. I mean, it's this, all the probes the main base down. ShoWTimE barely able to afford a 4th base. He does get the pylon powering not only double Stargate, but charge. That is actually very scary. There's only 4 Phoenixes, and they don't have the range. So anytime they accidentally run into the mutas, that's instantly 1 popped off. That's 20 mutas with +1. Now the vulnerabilities are there for the Temple Archives and the Forge, already depowered. I'm pretty sure it's going to go down. All ShoWTimE has is a couple of Zealot Warp-ins to try and bring back the main army, but he can't bring back the mutas. Oh,
I like the idea to try and storm the mutas. Oh, I mean, if they actually sit in the storm, it's great, but the likelihood of that is so low. There's such fast-moving units. Maneuverability is what they're about. Yeah. Bly's still investing in mutas, by the way. I'm actually... I'm a little bit worried about this now. I love what he's done so far, but oh, the storms actually shred the mutas.
Yeah, I was surprised that Bly went back in there seeing 6 High Templars. Looks so juicy, because you're like, storms, but no, that's barely enough damage. But, Bly, he might lose the Muta Force. Does it really even matter at this point? That bought so much time, they did so much damage for such a long period of time. Bly's already on his way to a Greater Spire, an Ultralisk Cavern, better upgrades? Not really, but still 2-1 versus 2. Delayed, I guess more importantly, ShoWTimE's +3 in charge. And they're still trying to do something. The 4th base is now vulnerable. What? What? Okay. Well, I like how ShoWTimE's probes went in and were like, nope.
Okay, so you know how World War II, they were in the trenches, right? And there's stories about how Christmas time there's a ceasefire. Yeah. I feel like it's what we just witnessed.
I totally know where you're going with that. That was so weird. Okay, so ShoWTimE, at this point, he has finally reached above 150 army supply, and that is, like, an okay time, I think, for Protosses to feel like they can move out, especially because they can usually protect themselves with force fields and storms. Oh and he does have an even army supply, so he's not entirely wrong about it, but he's got to be very careful. If he gets surrounded, if he doesn't know where the army is, that's when suddenly the army supply is not as good as it looks, but he knows where Bly's army is. What?
Rapid casting is so dead to me.
Why?
There's no caster that has ever been as dead to me as rapid casting is right now. He might as well be rapidly decomposing because he's dead to me.
He mentioned you on stream, didn't he?
Yes. I got a sweet shout out during SSL.
Is it a good thing?
No, it's a Rifkin drop thing.
Oh shit.
Like it's a Protoss Rifkin drop. No.
Wow.
GG.
Also, damn it.
I gotta say, I'm impressed with Bly that game for a couple of different reasons. One is, of course, we know he's playing off of a MacGyvered setup at best, right? Like he doesn't have power, he doesn't have proper internet. He's like hot spotting his phone combined with like using a car battery to power his PC. So like credits for fighting through whatever real life is thrown at him. Secondly, I honestly thought when storms were coming into play for ShoWTimE, like you see Hydras, you see Banelings, you're like, this will be such an easy win for ShoWTimE. But man, catching him off guard in the middle of the map, using the mutas the way he did, I didn't expect those mutas to do that much. Are you kidding me? I thought the mutas were going to be like a bad joke.
Yeah, I didn't think so either. When the Phoenixes weren't being depowered, I thought 2 Stargates would have been enough, but maybe even ShoWTimE underestimated how many he would make. Wow. Who made that lobby? Who did that?
Pretty sure ShoWTimE did.
He might have, but Naruto's making the new one. No, just Naruto's in the old one. Why make the players make the lobby? I would, but I don't have the map list. Okay. There you go. Newkirk Precinct with Gameheart.
Rapid Casting retweeted the part where I told him to kill himself. This cheeky shit. Zombie, I need you to do me a favor.
What's that?
I'm asking not as your friend, but as your sort of co-partner / employer. When you go to Korea, can you get like a big coconut cream pie, and just like, while he's sitting there in his nice fucking suit, ready to cast some like Brood War or whatever, just walk up to him and smack him right in the face, just smear it all over him, please?
Maybe. Maybe. I don't know though.
Okay, well, game number 2 in a pretty unexpected best of 5. At least rather the pacing of said best of 5. In the bottom right, he's down a game even. It's the red Protoss ShoWTimE.
In the bottom left is the blue Zerg. He is Bly.
Being schooled here on education of things.
I feel like I've...
Trench. So actually, I'm gonna admit ignorance on this. Trenches and foxholes to me, I guess in my mind, are the same thing, but I guess technically they really are not, because trenches are more like a big line drawn down the middle of a giant field.
I always thought that there were a line, not like a huge one, but a line drawn between, because I would read like things about like in the Vietnam War that they would be hiding in the trenches, but maybe I'm totally misremembering. I thought trenches were just something that you dug out to have a protective barrier. It didn't matter how big it was or how often they were used.
Maybe. Actually, speaking of the Vietnam War, it's funny how different it is. I've learned about the American education system a little bit, and like obviously there's a little bit more emphasis on the Vietnam War for you guys than there is for us. But I didn't realize this because they never taught us this in school. But like how crazy the tunnels and stuff were for the
Vietnamese.
The Vietnam people.
Or the Viet Cong.
There you go.
Oh, I wonder where you're going with that. I felt like you had the most difficult part of the word.
I mean, I can't say that word, so whatever. But the point is, the tunneling system there is like trenches to the extreme? Question mark.
Yeah, it's tunnels. Are tunnels just really the most extreme trenches?
They are the most. It's like the giant X in extreme for. Oh my god. That's Where's the mind blown emote when you need it? Oh
no,
my god.
No, it's not mind blowing. No.
Extreme trenches. So what would be like an extreme tunnel then? Like the Grand Canyon?
Well, a tunnel has to be like covered, wouldn't it?
Ah, that's true.
Yeah.
So I guess the Grand Canyon would be the Well, it can't be an extreme trench because tunnels are extreme trenches.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure the Grand Canyon would just be an extreme trench.
No, you know what the Grand Canyon is? A really lame earthquake. Slowly happening over thousands of years.
A very slow earthquake over thousands of years. Wait, what?
The Grand Canyon.
No, wasn't it? It was cut out by large bodies of water, wasn't it? Not earthquakes.
You know what? I don't actually know. I was guessing.
No, I'm pretty sure. But, you know, it's like 7 in the morning and pretty loopy, and I haven't been in school for a while, so I'm just gonna dodge past it.
I feel our knowledge of not just geography, but history is equivalent to those who call raccoons trash pandas. We have slightly accurate, but not really accurate facts.
Trash pandas are perfectly accurate, for, like, excuse you.
I have been pretty obsessed with watching raccoon videos recently. Actually, I feel like I would put my weird raccoon obsession right up there with Riomar's otter obsession.
Oh.
I love watching them clean their food. There's this video where I don't know what they gave them, but it was something like just instantly dissolved in water, like cotton candy.
Marshmallows. So
the raccoons would take it. Yeah, marshmallow, and they'd like go to wash it. It would just disappear, and he's sitting there like, what happened to my food?
He did it twice before he learned.
Ah, you've seen this, okay.
I think most people have seen it. So I was surprised that's where you were going with it. You sounded so...
Well, it was the first time I saw it.
No, it's a great thing that it was the first time. I wish it was my first time every time I saw it because it's so cute.
All right, well, Warp Prism heading out. I guess I got so used to watching Neeb yesterday, and he plays the same way so often. Watching ShoWTimE really change it up, not just from general playstyles, but game 1 to game 2.
Yeah. ShoWTimE has been playing a lot with Warp Prisms, I feel like. A lot more than some Protosses, like in PvT and PvZ. Whereas a lot of Protosses play either like right into the Stargate into Fast 3 base, or like maybe Fast Robo for Colossus or Disruptors, not Warp Prism. So I'm not too surprised to see it, but I feel like it's still kind of unique to see a Warp Prism warp in what is like very few adepts, but enough in the early game to be really obnoxious, especially because Bly wasn't expecting it and is trying to get to a very early Spire. Now, if he gets to the Spire, then this Warp Prism doesn't have nearly the life that ShoWTimE was hoping it would, because this is a pretty early Spire in ZvP.
No life.
And he does CO these adepts. He's starting to do quite a bit of damage. Again, this is like pretty early on, so while 16 drones at 9 minutes is like, okay, maybe you can remake those. 16 at 4 or 5 rather is, that's a big difference. Now Bly can't afford to go for mutas, so he can't clean up that Warp Prism. He's trying to with the Queens, and he's doing a decent job of it, trying to anticipate where it's coming from. Moving forward with the Roaches, they don't have speed, there's no Ravagers either, and the Militia Corps does have 2 overcharges. She's waiting to use them though. There we go. An Immortal Sentries, this is absolutely the counter to these Roach pushes.
That one force field on the left side, forcing them to stay in the fight, eating the overcharge, annihilating all but one of the Roaches, 2 of the Roaches. Bly, oh jeez, he got massacred in that attack.
Yeah. Not so hot. I guess it did bring back the Warp Prism, but honestly, he was kind of deflecting it anyways. And it did, well, he has like a, not really an army anymore. It did allow him to get back up to 60 drones, so he's matching ShoWTimE once again. But this is something that he should have been at a little bit sooner. He should have been able to get like 9, 10 mutas instantly, as well as probably on his way to a 4th base, which he is just now getting. I mean, everything would have been a little bit faster had he not taken those drone losses. And the Warp Prism, well, it will eventually go down to the mutas. Like, it can have surprisingly long lifespan if the Zerg player doesn't know exactly where it is, basically, and is trying to do other things. The mutas, like, for instance, could have instantly gone across the map to try and take advantage of their timing, but they're not. They're trying to find the Warp Prism. So, that will go down, but now ShoWTimE has a lot of time to, okay, remake a Warp Prism. Sure, why not? As well as respond to the muta threat. He doesn't know how much Bly's going to commit to this, and like last game, Bly kept committing like spurts of mutas. so it was constantly a surprise. And in this game, he might do the same thing, but ShoWTimE can't really tell. All he saw was like 4 mutas. Stalkers warped in, Blink on the way. An initial defense against them. Not quite done. 8 mutas do an okay job against a probe line. Oh lordy. Seeing that many stalkers, you know Blink is on the way. Does get the mothership core, not too shabby. And 6 more mutas, so he is committing more. But ShoWTimE, well, ShoWTimE might just be able to push as soon as he has +1 in Blink. And I don't think Bly's gonna be able to stop it. He's trying to take on the mutas, or mutas trying to take the stalkers, whatever you want to look at it. But the point is they're evening out here, and Bly doesn't have much more behind that. I guess he has 20 army supply lead, so it's not too terrible. But this army kind of counters roaches, so... Now only a 10 army supply lead. The Warp Prism is coming forward here to help Micro. Blink is done. Bly, I don't think the ground army's strong enough. And the mutas, there's like 6 of them. They're not going to help out very much at all. This looks like a game over move. Bly definitely taking early losses and not able to respond. Able to deal equal losses to ShoWTimE. Can't quite grab that Warp Prism using his Corsair Gear on the army. Muta is trying to help out with the army, not kill it either. And honestly, even if you got the Warp Prism, it's, you know, third base to third base, not too much of a trek for ShoWTimE's reinforcements.
Yeah, sorry, I was responding to something TaKeTV was messaging me about. Which I guess we'll go over in a moment, but ShoWTimE just busting through with a real show of force. I mean, Bly was already in trouble the second that third attack failed, or rather the attack on the third failed, but there we go, GG. Ties it up 1-1. Real quick, guys, 2 things. First off, regardless of what I'm about to say, huge respects to Naruto, TaKeTV, creating content, throwing events, always good to see, always good to have. I, however, don't necessarily love the format of this tournament. It's been pretty public at this point, and I guess somebody is whining about the Reddit thread to TaKeTV. So I told them, like, pretty plainly what we had told them before. Like, I'm not impressed with the tournament format. You've got people who've been complaining about it. It's not just us, and fuck, you got, like, Gaming just leaves early. Like, they don't even bother trying to finish it, right? Like, there's evidence here saying that this is not the best tournament format of all time. That being said, we're still here casting. We're still going to have a good time. And we're still going to do whatever we can to help support them and advertise the Homestory Cup donations and keep telling you guys to go over to TaKeTV's channel, yada, yada, yada. But at the end of the day, if someone's going to ask me my honest and true opinion, I think that this could have been organized much, much better.
Yeah. Took about enough time to finish the next game. Abyssal Reef. It does suck, though, because this isn't the only time that someone has gone, like, and making something really big, I guess, because of, like, a shitty Reddit thread.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It is really just a shitty Reddit thread, so I'm not really looking too much into it. And if anyone else wants to, by all means, and go ahead. But we are getting into game number 3. Things are tied up 1 apiece now, and with a rather good defense and a very aggressive counterattack. At the bottom right, he just took game number 2. It's ShoWTimE.
Top left, as the blue Zerg, he is Bly.
And as mentioned before, just taking a moment here to advertise the fact that TaKeTV, they're trying to raise money for Homestory Cup, guys. I think they've raised a grand total of like 11K or something, but they've raised 8K alone through this tournament so far. If you're looking to support Homestory Cup, or more importantly TaKeTV, do it through their stream page, not ours. If you donate anything here, it won't go to them. You have to go to TaKeTV's page, and most importantly, their donation box over there.
Well, that's pretty good numbers. Early scout from ShoWTimE is to be expected. You can pylon block, and you make sure that someone like Bly isn't early pulling you. But Bly already anticipates it. Just takes a third. This is natural. Should be the way things go for the rest of the series. It is all tied up after that last game. Bly took way too much damage to an earlier Warp Prism, and his mutas just weren't a surprise enough to help make up for that. So I wonder if he'll give up on the idea of mutas, maybe play to those Roach Ravager all-ins that we've seen, or even the Hydra all-ins, Or he'll maybe think, maybe that's his new experimentation is with mutas. I don't know. I mean, he's got mutas twice in a row, and it's usually not what he does. But he might know more about how he wants to play specifically against ShoWTimE than it is about his ZvP overall, which we saw yesterday and the day before that. I think both days we saw Bly's ZvP. And ShoWTimE, as a very fearsome Protoss player, maybe it is more about surprising him than it is about trying to overwhelm him, because all-ins can be a surprise, but they're also, of course, more about just overwhelming and hoping that your opponent is either playing super greedy or making a lot of micro mistakes, which ShoWTimE... I mean, I guess ShoWTimE, like anyone, can be accused of being greedy occasionally, but I wouldn't say he's always going for 3 bases, 70 probes. No, he has his own tricks. As we saw last game. I mean, he did the adept pressure later third base. Stargate now on the way, as is pretty usual. And that first game on Belshir, he managed to get a Void Ray out and try to tear down a 4th base, but it just didn't really work out. And then it wasn't quite enough production to save him from the mutas. I bring that up because last game, so much damage done with the Warp Prism, but first game, not much damage done at all with the Oracle or Void Ray. And if it, if it looks more like that first game, then it could be trouble. Robo now on the way as well. Bly is going for speed. No Evolution Jibber quite yet for +1. It's usually the way that it goes to, though, in ZvP, but last game it went for that faster Spire instead. Third base, maybe coming down soon? I don't think, no, the Overlord's gonna see the Stargate soon. Okay, so sees the Stargate, probably knows the Overlord's gonna die eventually, but now he can build Spore Crawlers to deal with the Oracle. This Overlord sees the other production going down here, and yeah, just eyes on where that third base is taken and where it's taken as well. Most likely here, but it can also be over here. Actually, I don't know. 50-50, or maybe it's a little more split than that. I don't know. But Warp Prism again. Okay. After the Oracle, but still a Warp Prism. Holding off on that third base. Bly is wanting to either try and deny it, or maybe slip in once he sees the Adepts move out, if they ever do. And Void Ray is on the way again. Well, you gotta gotten that Creep Tumor. 2 Queens definitely gonna shoot that off. Not too much done. Just two deaths. So went on third base. 4 Adepts picked up. The Overlord, I'm pretty sure saw that though. Maybe not. I might have seen the Warp Prism pop out. It's kind of hard to tell.
Swarm forces under attack.
I know Bly used Abzither, but I like hearing it anyways.
Abzither.
Yeah. Void Ray does clean up that Overlord, and that probe is finally looking for that third base, and the Lings are looking to kill it. So, I said ShoWTimE could maybe just take the other one if you really didn't want to deal with the Lings. But dealing with the attack first, it's not a Warp Prism to harass the main base, it just simply warped in at the front. Oracle gonna try out help out a little bit. Drones go to the third base where there aren't many defenses. In fact, none at all. Not even the Queen was over here. Warp Prism just... Oh no, she didn't warp in. No. Never mind. Void Ray, I thought was the Warp Prism, is coming over here. Not sure what it's going to be looking for, but still no third base. The Lings stop that probe from trying. Mothership Core's going to come over and try and take care of it. Ah! Void Ray, no! Okay, well the Void Ray lives because now it's creep spread. But got an Overlord. Another group of Lings gonna deny the other third base, and I'm pretty sure ShoWTimE would have wanted a third base by now, but has had to produce a little more beforehand, so it's really not an ideal time and a bad time either. Simply by placing his Lings where he did, Bly at least assured some like damage, and in fact by pairing up his Lings altogether now, threatens the third base. There are force fields, where the pylons aren't done. There's no Adepts really to help out here. Force field's a little late, and they aren't even that good. The sentries are popped out on the other sides of them where it's supposed to be saved. At least he saves the Immortal and the Adept for a second. But the Mothership Core is now overcharging the backward pylon. Drones went down when this all happened, however, so the third base wasn't cancelled. He just got a couple of sentries, and was that worth 12 drones and all of your lings? Remains to be seen. Warp Prism not able to warp in before it shooed away. Void Ray still alive, though, and killing Overlords. Definitely let our Twilight Council with this build. But if you're not going to go for Resonant Glaives attack, if you're not going to go for Blinkstalker follow-up, then just going right into Charge and Templar Archives is definitely something that Protoss has been doing. Oracle's still alive. 16 kills on that Oracle. Pretty impressive.
Oh, this has been such a headache dealing with this. I don't know how they're casting on the German stream and complaining about this on Skype at the same time.
Well, they're bringing on pro gamers and stuff, so.
Yeah, I guess there's like 3 or 4 of them. Feels bad, man. Feels bad, man. But okay. 7 minutes in, I can finally start enjoying the game. Yay!
Cool.
I don't know why anyone takes Reddit seriously. There's like nobody. The folks who use Reddit are far and few for the good people, and the rest of them are just folks who have multiple accounts and circle jerk each other. Like, just word to the wise, because if you're a content creator, 2015 Reddit was the place to be. 2017 it's full of dumbasses, really.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, still gets the clicks, but if there's a negative thread on it, it's almost always going to be someone who's being way
complaining about BaseTradeTV.
Well, that. Well, I look at a thread like that, and I'm like, well, first of all, not everyone is agreeing, right? There's not like 50 comments where everyone, even like actual fans of each other, are like, yeah, like they're being cool or whatever. And then, like, second of all, like, there's almost always a better way to put it than these guys are bitching or something like that. And if they don't even try to put it in a better way, then just assume that they're kind of assholes as well.
Yeah. Well, anyways, I'm just gonna move past it and try and enjoy the rest of the games that we have today.
Yeah. This has been a lot of minimal damage back and forth, and we've reached the point of what looks to be a regular macro game. I mean, 84 drones. Jesus, even more than that Belshir game. 5 base, 5th base on the way. War Prism's still alive and doing damage. Oracle's still alive and doing damage. Up to 20 kills now. I think that's some lings. I don't think it's all the drones. But still very nice. Hussein Phoenix scouts the Spire. The Oracle wasn't doing a good enough job anyways, and he is starting to produce Phoenixes, but, you know, it's not that quick. I mean, his cannons came down before he even started Phoenix production. And it's only 1 Phoenix at a time, so a bit less notice, actually, than that's Belshir game. And that game had the mutas kind of snowball. See what happens. Second Stargate on the way. He did not get Blink, as I said, like, at Twilight Council a little bit later than another build, certainly. Just went straight to really Charge and Templar Archives for Storm.
Well, Muta is out of Bly. Served him well once before, and once again, they'll get some nice kills. Picks off the Templar and uses all the Storm energy up, too. The anti-air here is very limited. Mostly sentries, cannons, and the odd Phoenix.
Yeah, that was a very bold move. There might just be enough cannons and warpins and Phoenix to stop this from truly snowballing, but it is very scary. Those Phoenix go down, the Stalkers go down instantly after that, and the Immortal's just going to be able to derp around and be like, save us, please. +2 is almost done, and ShoWTimE is now on double Phoenix production. I like the hallucination. Sure, why not? But those Stalkers don't have Blink. They can't chase whenever the mutas get really low. They really are just the emergency defense warpins. And Bly, well, thing is, he got so much control from that Belshir game. He was always in a dominating supply lead, and he is, even now. But it took much longer for ShoWTimE, I think, to get a 4th base. Pretty sure about that. And it took him, I think, a longer time to get close to 150 supply. Where even as he took damage right here, right now, he does still have all the things necessary to continue defending and building up slowly. That Belshir game, he was really torn apart and forced to make decisions he really didn't want to. So Fleet Beacon even on the way, taking the Muta threat very seriously. They are up to a count of 15 with +1. Mind you, that's the only upgrade in the game so far. Bly doesn't even have +1 on his melee.
Oh wow, I didn't even look at the upgrade tab. That's actually pretty horrible if we're going to be honest. Not that ShoWTimE has armor upgrades or anything like that, but the fact is he just can't chew through buildings, so like there's no chance to turn this into a base trade, right? There's no real easy transition. Like whatever comes out of this hive, if it's not out of the Spire, it's going to be hitting for jack squat.
Yeah, I do wonder if investing into a second evolution chamber would have been worth it. You see a lot of single upgrades, I guess, in ZvP nowadays. But when it's this late, maybe? Seems like Bly doesn't care. I mean, Bly's banking a lot. He was on 84 drones at one point, cut down to 75. I guess he's just built a bunch of structures. But on 5 bases is a very good economy. But trying to invest it elsewhere. Ultra's Cavern, Greater Spire, Lurkers, more upgrades, Juno Glands. I mean, he's getting there, but they're all time investments that he didn't start very early on in the game at all. And ShoWTimE, as I said, like, he managed to get to a more stable army faster. And that Fleet Beacon wasn't just for Anion Pulse Crystals, it was also for Tempest, as he realizes Broodlords did force him to tap out on Belshir. That's like that was the instant tap out once the Broodlings surrounded him. And I guess that's what he's thinking Bly will automatically go to again. But the trick is, Bly has 2 options. And while he's getting Corruptors right now, if he sees their Tempest, maybe he instead decides to take out the Immortals and go for Ultras.
These storms are actually hitting a lot of ShoWTimE's own army, and I don't think he realizes it, but he just triggered the barrier on all of his own Immortals.
Yeah, that would have been pretty scary, but Bly isn't willing to attack into it. I mean, he very much so was thinking defense, 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 and that just was to buy time. So they are going to get their barriers back up, but they did take a bit of damage, and it did stop ShoWTimE from pushing forward. And ShoWTimE is still going to be maybe contained on 4 bases for a while longer. This 5th isn't too far out of reach, though, on Abyssal Reef. But, yeah, he's taking his time getting there. Broodlords are out, so are some Ultras, but the Immortals are also alive, so that's always going to be a little bit dangerous to throw forward. Upgrade's almost done for ShoWTimE too. +3 against just the single upgraded Lings. Zealot's going to chew these down. They get a kill on that Nexus, surprisingly. ShoWTimE not really banking enough to let that go easily. Those 400 minerals. Pretty expensive.
Really sad ShoWTimE doesn't use the Immortal skin. I think it's actually pretty cool. It looks so dumb when it first debuted, but it's still one of my favorites.
It looks dumb on the production tab no matter what, but I do like it.
It does,
in game.
yeah.
Oh, Revelation on not just the Broodlords, but also, okay, 2 out of 3 of the
This is so cool. I like this. Bly, this isn't the first time we've seen this composition out of him, of course. I'm mixing Lurkers, Broodlords before it was Ultras. Point is, he's got a little bit of everything that he needs for this. And ShoWTimE's finding himself perhaps like up in army supply, but can he even deal with this? The Broodlords are actually going down to the Tempest, but the Hydra Trapper on the south side, they do take out a couple. Not going to be enough, though.
Yeah, I didn't think so. I mean, first of all, Bly's composition, I think, was kind of beat by ShoWTimE. ShoWTimE had the proper counters, but then he also had a good chunk of units that were not doing anything for a while. And then Storms will absolutely just blanketed his army. The good news is, I think Bly was able to mitigate the counterattack damage. He did lose an entire hatchery, but no drones were over there, and he was banking a little bit, so, well, he doesn't have a bank anymore. He just made 30 Hydras. At least he has that already made, and then can get his other expansions once more. And might even double expand if he thinks he can get away with it. So back up here, and then maybe down here. But ShoWTimE now able to get his 5th base comfortably. That's pretty late, mind you. Main base mined out, natural mining out, 3rd base. Still pretty healthy. That's okay. The 5th base only just started. Could be different in a minute. These Phoenixes, of course, left over from dealing with the Mutas. They're usually not too scary, but if they do find the Vipers accidentally, basically, they can take those out. Seeing Vipers, by the way, just kind of a little bit just like, what? Really? Really? Seriously? Usually, Zerg's a little hesitant to go for any energy-based units against these feedbacks, but there's only 3 High Templar. No, just kidding. There's 5. Never mind. Feedbacks instantly, but 2 Abducts at least went off before that happens. A lot of Storms still available, and Hydra's just being melted to it. The Banelings are rolling in only after the Hydra's taking a lot of damage, but they did soak up most of the Storms, so recall used by ShoWTimE, not too shabby. Oh, no, not American. Saves his base, only loses 13 drones. That's not terrible, and he instantly remakes about 20. This game is not determined yet at all. I think ShoWTimE's getting the better leads and the better army, though.
Yeah, I mean, look at the resources lost, right? Like, maybe it's not determined yet, but it's showing who's winning.
No cancel. He's going to lose it. Yeah, the thing is that, like, that's a pretty extreme resources loss, for sure. The income kind of, like, it would have made up for it a little bit. But it's getting to extreme situation now. This Bly's having trouble filling that army supply. He lost another base. He doesn't have another one to send his drones to. Can't even chase down these zealots in time. They're gonna get away. And ShoWTimE is just getting the better army. Mothership on the way. Still a lot of High Templars that lived and are regaining that energy. I don't think Bly ever had like a super big lead in this game. Didn't really emphasize that even though he had like, this really big baller economy and what looked to be overwhelming numbers, ShoWTimE was at that consistent Protoss count that if he just played safe and smart, he'd be able to weather the storm. And that's exactly what has happened. But Bly did have, I think, a lot of control over the game that he is definitely now lost and is missing. Like emotionally, he's missing it.
Emotionally.
Yeah.
I like to imagine Bly's just like, he's the, why did this happen to me?
Yeah, there's a song playing in the background for sure. Surprisingly, the feedbacks don't go down the Vipers, so they aren't slammed down to death.
No, and Parasitic Bomb was actually kind of cool to see. I mean, everything Protoss has in the sky actually has a lot of health. Phoenix are the only thing that really get hurt by Parasitic Bombs. Well, I guess and Observers too, technically, but either way, it's free damage. I think Abducts are the best case scenario in every instance, but when you are worried about those feedbacks, you can't get too close.
Yeah. Just what the effing, because an Ultra responded, but then just didn't want to chase the Zealots, so... I think this was a cancel. Bly is once again banking enough to double expand, which he probably needs to do. ShoWTimE got this 5th base kind of late, but still, you know, safe. And then he really quickly got to a 6th base that is now even has cannons up, and is going for a 7th. His army looking a bit unbeatable, and Bly was so busy trying to protect his bases and re-expand that he didn't really add to his army with that bank. Finally adding on Broodlords, but so what? I mean, the Broodlords are already countered here. Storm's going down. Revelation on every single spellcaster means feedback's going to be super easy to pull off. And the army of Bly is just, it doesn't look very good at all.
Nah. ShoWTimE, if nothing else, just like has this untouchable mothership dynamic, right? Where maybe the abducts come in, but then it recalls. Even if that's the case, it's still really extreme. Broodlord's still gonna be tough to deal with. They can't see what they want to shoot. Oh, he's just gonna move commanding into the army.
Yeah, that was awkward. The Overseer's a little bit late to that, so they're just over even a couple of those Archons. They're dead now, and it is just the Tempest taking them out, so the ground army looks like it might go down too. But, you know, what does it matter? ShoWTimE has the bank, ShoWTimE has the economy, and he still has the army. Oh, the Immortals didn't even die. They lived. Oh no. Oh dear. Ah,
Look at, by the way, before this game is all said and done, look at the resources lost. Holy crap.
40,000 to 20,000. Wow, that's it's a big difference. But that was a long game, and this next one might be the last, so I'm gonna take a quick break. Alright, that took a little bit of time as Naruto had lobby problems. But we are into game number 4? Yeah, it's game number 4. I know my stuff. Yeah. Up 2-1 in the bottom left is the red Protoss. He is ShoWTimE.
And it's on the top side of the map. In a bit of trouble. It's going to be the blue Zerg player, Bly.
No! Okay, good. Nope.
I'm really curious what happened with Bly towards the end of that game. I don't necessarily think his composition was bad per se, but...
Just seeing the drone try and dodge.
I know.
You didn't see me.
I'm trying not to laugh too. My throat hurts. But I was just gonna say, we've seen Bly actually have really cool compositions that have dealt with late game. You know, we saw, was it like he was faced with carriers and Templar, and he met it with lurkers and broodlords, and kind of similar to things to what we saw. And I'm wondering if that game was maybe a misread out of him. Like he expected the late game, and he expected it to be what all Protoss players do, and straight to carriers. I'm wondering if it's just the Tempest that threw him off there, or if his own tempo had already been screwed up by the end of that game.
Yeah, I think his tempo had been screwed up. I mean, it looks so good when you have that feeling of control, and I think Bly, like, really out of, like, most players, like, gets that feeling of control, being super aggressive, and loves it, too. So that's why I said that he was missing it emotionally, like, not that he was without it. So when he, you know, was doing okay with the mutas, But then he really took a step back and realized that ShoWTimE was still on 4 bases and with a decent probe count and with a good army. And you can really see that Bly had already lost his tempo by then and didn't quite get fast enough to take advantage of what his economy was. Instead, he tried to go like the tech path, but ShoWTimE was already able to match him on tech, and I think that's just a difficult game for any Zerg player if they don't cut the Protoss before that.
Hey, real quick, because they're trying to coordinate with us here. Do we want the Serral semifinals or the TLO Neeb ones?
TLO Neeb? Well,
really?
Is Serral going up against... Well, you said just Serral, so who am I supposed to know?
Well, Serral's semifinals is what I meant.
Well, yeah, but who's he facing? Gumiho Hero Marine?
Yeah. Winner of Gumiho Hero Marine.
Yeah, I guess I'll see that. Serral versus Gumiho, probably.
Oh, wait, I see what they've done here. Okay, they've staggered it a bit. So, yeah, when one of the semifinals is going on, one of the quarterfinals will play, and then by the time the first semis is done, the second semis will play. Okay, I see how that works.
Okay. Well, talked a bit about last game, but this game is a little bit interesting. I think Vi didn't mean to go for this gold. I think he was forced to go for the gold when his drone got scouted because he might have been trying to go for the proxy hatch. To be honest, that just would have been maybe a bad idea anyways, because ShoWTimE has been very consistent about probe scouting. Always sending out like 2 probes even, one to build a pylon, one to scout very early on. But Bly took advantage of the situation. Pretty sure. Can't confirm unless I asked him, but I'm pretty sure he didn't mean to get this gold base. But figured, okay, it's already over here, so why not try and get the gold base? But you know, that means the rocks aren't broken down. It's so early on in the game. That means any like adept attack is going to be ultra hard to defend against because queens can't even help that 3rd base. So I don't know if this is really going to be worth it. Drones had to be transferred from like so far, and these rocks are just, they're a lot to chew through. It's not just as simple as having 4 lings attack and then consistently, which he's not even doing. So a very small amount of depths, which usually I think he would hold off on, are going to be able to deny a lot of mining and just make this gold base look worthless.
And that's actually kind of a big deal. Like when you reach out for this gold, you really have to make it pay off. The idea isn't just to take an exposed base, but I mean, the other upside is you don't need much mining to make it effective, right?
But that is the upside. But I don't think he's going to get any mining in a second. We have, oopsie, Resident Glaze on the way. And he did pull back those adepts so we can add on more and then go back again. And while roaches are on the way, they are going to be slow, and I guess that's like one upside is that if ShoWTimE commits to this base, then he is committing to it because it takes, you know, also a long time for the shades to get around town up to this natural. Most of the roaches do pop at the gold, and the adepts, they really don't want to take these on. I mean, they want to be just going straight for the drones, so successful denial. Gold base still mining at least somewhat healthily. Adepts can now transfer between the main and the natural, but that might not be worth their time investment either. Here's more depths. More and more depths. Wow, chat's pretty split on what we should have cast too.
Oh, I think both would have been great. Don't get me wrong. There's no downside, but I think sticking with one semis will make it a little bit more smooth anyways, as far as transitioning to like downtime afterwards.
Well, made a decision. Go away, chat.
Yeah.
Warp Prism is now going to provide that extra bit of flexibility to the adepts, but I'm surprised that Bly was able to get away with his gold base. I mean, he got 1 denial on it to pull the drones. Well, twice. But not a big one. Adepts not coming in here looking for drone kills, but 3rd base may be caught off guard here. The sentry doesn't even pop a single force field. The Phototrotage does go down, but only 1 of them. And if that pylon goes down, the 3rd base is going to be surrounded. Ah, no.
Oh, Bly. Did your car battery run out?
Whoa!
Oh, it's TaKeTV. No. Of course,
Okay.
hoping nothing bad happens. But technical problems are a real thing.
Every time they've lagged out, we've just played the game through, so I think that's what it's going to be here too. I don't mean to say like, oh, they lag out so much, but they have lagged out like once every day.
I like to imagine in my mind that Dennis is sitting there at his PC and getting really drunk, and he just kicks out one of the cords while he's flailing around after taking a shot.
Well, they have 2 PC setups, right? Like, they're in both casts every time.
Yeah.
What a cool thing to have if you're in a studio.
I know, it feels bad. Like, I like, real talk for a second. How different would our lives be if we weren't split across 2 coasts and 2 countries, right?
Interesting question. That happened at a pretty pivotal moment. So I was talking about how these Lings could maybe get us around on the Nexus, but they killed the other pylon instead, and the Nexus was almost already done, so they would have done a lot of damage to it, but it looks like the sentries would have been enough to shoo them away. War Prism is about half dead, but still dropping off the Adepts. Still racking up kills here and there, so Bly cut down to below 50. But Roaches are now coming forward here. There aren't enough Lings to really take out that Immortal. It does pop the barrier, but Force Fields come down to save it. And that's a no-go for Bly's attack. More Mortals. Forge on the way. Bly now getting to his Hydras, getting their upgrades. He has broken down those rocks, and protecting that gold base will be easy peasy. Well, easier from now on. That's a pretty good public space.
You know, the other thing about the gold we didn't really talk about that's going to be huge is the fact that he did take this so early means it is going to mine out really fast, and he won't have to worry about defending such an exposed 4th later on. This back base, his regular natural, is actually going to be such a wonderfully easy to defend 4th base.
Yeah. And the 4th base won't be too bad either. If they do go for the gold later on in the game, there is that tug of war that could sometimes go not in the Zerg's favor. This War Prism continues to be pesky despite losing health earlier on. So just drones here and there starting to really rack up. It's 26 drone kills to 0.
Wow.
So quite good.
Feels bad, man.
Creep spread is, funnily enough, because the gold base is taken pretty far in ShoWTimE's face. He does not have an observer with the army, so it might just continue forward. You know, I think we had a sub or a new sub. I'm missing. Yeah. Andron84, thank you for the new sub. And T-Con, don't remember that. New sub as well, but that was a while ago. That does it. The Depths once again dropped off in the main base. Gonna get a queen and then the drones. This army decides maybe it's not a good idea. There's a lot of forewarning as he's on creep spread, so he finally invests into an observer. 4th base at the safer regular base, not the gold. Let's check the income graph. Yeah, well, but Bly has constantly been losing drones. He has still been winning, which does make sense to the gold base.
Oh no, they're reporting that German stream just accidentally like hit the PC with their knee, so I wasn't too far off from my guess.
No, you weren't.
It's okay, we've all been there, done that once or twice before. It's always awkward when it happens.
I don't think I've accidentally turned off my PC. I've accidentally pressed the pause button.
I've kicked out the power cord once before.
I don't think there's a way I could kick out the power cord. The way my PC is set up is so far back and away from me. It means it's flippin' annoying if I have to fix something, but it means I never touch the power cable.
I mean, I guess it's not such a bad thing.
Yeah, sure.
Alright, well, Corsair is like tentatively trying to get some hits. I mean, going back to, we talked about this with Bly before, forget the composition for a moment. One thing he does do when he sees a lot of Immortals, and I like this a lot, is he'll try to like actually manually focus, like trigger the barriers, back away, and then go for the actual attack later.
Bly maybe not realizing there wasn't a gold base, or really just wanting to get to these rocks. He's going to find still a, ShoWTimE's army not too far out of position, and a lot of pylons available for overcharge. Oh, his reserves couldn't get out. No, his probes couldn't get out either. That was a full wall. Wow. Well, disruptors are now here. War Prism bought a bit more time anyways. Bly is looking for a real fight. Kills 7 more drones. Finds the 5th base off to the right side. A couple mutas are on the way as Aspire did finish up to help deal with that War Prism that has been alive since minute 4 of this game.
Mm.
Go time with +2 stalkers soon enough.
I'm really worried about this. I mean, this is so brute force from both sides. There's not a lot of finesse. Nobody really has like tack or upgrades. So when it comes to the numbers game, Bly has better numbers, but I don't know that he can ever fight with those disruptors, especially in a choke with his ramp.
Dep's still killing drones. Mutas do try and go for that main base. There's 18 of them, but I'm not really sure that's enough to cause a base trade. Lots of workers going down on either side. Army supply still in favor of Bly, but the disruptors could easily take care of that. Seriously, a lot of probes going down. Bly's gonna be going down a ramp, but there's not too many force fields. There's really only 2, and he's gonna want a Guardian Shield. Oh, that's a lot of Blink Stalkers. Oh, that's a lot of Stalkers.
Oh man, I commend Bly for his mutas.
Those are some pretty good disruptor shots. One gets a huge round of banelings, the other one gets a nice cut into the Hydras. There are still a decent number of Stalkers too, so while the mutas justly try and come back, they don't even have an upgrade. So they just have to leave. Again, Bly with the upgradeless style. He's gonna find a 4th base. Oh, no, he isn't.
I'm not a fan of this though, because the problem is like, basically once he gets broken, he stays broken, right? Like it doesn't get better.
Yeah, I'm thinking ShoWTimE's gonna bring it back. That first game in the best of 5 looked quite commanding from Bly, but ShoWTimE figured out the style and they're doing well ever since.
It really did. I mean, Bly, I don't know. Like I really didn't expect him to take that first game, but I also didn't expect him to lose all the momentum from it either, right? Like, ugh. But I guess, you know what? The big thing is, like, his PC dying. I can't imagine these are ideal conditions, and he probably can't even play that much longer in the tournament if you think about it, until real power comes back on.
Yeah. Well, not too surprising to see Bly go for the desperate base trade. Like I said, his mutas aren't even that high in number, and they're not upgraded. Tries to blitz, but ShoWTimE really wasn't that far behind, so all of his Blink Stalkers come back. He just leaves a good number here, and that is it. GG.
All right, go ShoWTimE.
What does that mean?
So this does mean we'll be getting into the next series, I guess, soon. I don't know if the TVT's actually finished yet or not, though.
It is. It's Sero versus Gumiho. I'm going to assume it's going to be on America. So, as soon as we have the lobby ready to go, we'll come back and cast the semifinal.